I've had a number of questions in the last week or so about saxophone tone, and several of you are asking the same thing. So I'm going to make a quick video this morning addressing some of those questions. The first one is about playing in the lower register on saxophone. In other words, below low G. In other words, the notes just under the staff, low D and C. A lot of you were having trouble consistently getting those to respond. And some people suggested dropping the jaw, which I discourage that kind of a description. We can make changes to make those lower notes respond better, but we don't really drop the jaw or increase the distance between the teeth. That remains the same as you get down below the staff. What we do is use a larger airstream as we get lower on the instrument, as we do on all woodwinds. We use a larger airstream, which really comes from control inside your oral cavity with tongue placement. We're just a little more open and a little more round. It's very difficult to describe exactly. I hate to always respond with telling people that they need to practice more, but it is something that is learned, and one simply has to feel it because it's inside the mouth and we can't see it. It's not like describing finger movements where you can look at your fingers and say, this is not relaxed, or this finger needs to get on the other key. When you're talking about things in your oral cavity, it's difficult to describe. It's hard to describe to students too. But we don't increase the distance between our teeth or drop the jaw to get down. We do play with the larger airstream. The other question, several people were asking about jazz tone. Jazz tone on saxophone is produced differently than a classical conception. Jazz tone is typically much more individualistic and a bit less interested in total control, as a classical saxophone tone is very controlled throughout the register, very evenly matched. Jazz players are less concerned about that evenness and control. So a jazz tone, this is my classical setup, a typical classical setup for me. In other words, equipment. It is a Rico Select alto saxophone reed, strength 3.5, and my mouthpiece is a Eugene Rousseau 4R classical mouthpiece. So this is the setup I use for classical playing, but I can get a classical tone or a jazz tone with this setup by controlling my air, by changing the way I use my airstream. A more jazz tone is a bit more airy sounding, and I call it fluffy.